Hi y'all, Austin here with Outer World Media. Welcome back to, yet again guys, another book review. I'm going to be upfront with you guys. I am reviewing and talking about Stephen King's Gerald's Game. I'm going to be very, very bland with what I say because again, I don't want a kid to see this somehow, some way, and hear something that they shouldn't. But I also want to be honest and frank with you guys and say that I did not enjoy this book. I'll be upfront about that. I don't want to lie to you guys, but I also don't want to sit here and trash a book by any means. You know, Mr. King and everybody takes their time, pours everything they have into their books, and I don't want to be one of those people who just bashes on something. I could never write a book, so I'm not going to take that away from him. What I will say though is this man's bibliography is massive. He's, I think, what, in his 70s or something like that, possibly. And for as many books as he has, he's obviously not going to knock it out of the park every time. There's going to be duds, and this one just happened to be one. So, yeah, let's get into it, though. I'm not sure how long this review is going to be, but let's get into it, guys. Like I said, we are talking about Gerald's Game by Stephen King. Kind of getting into it, and again, I'm going to be very bland with my description because I don't want a kid to hear something they shouldn't. Essentially, you have Jessie and her husband Gerald, who they go take a day trip, a couple day trip out to their vacation cabin in the woods of Maine, like a lake house, if you will. And so they go out there. They are trying to rekindle something in their relationship. They are up there in age, if you will. They don't have any children. Gerald's a big time lawyer. Jesse's just kind of there, is the best way to put it. And, so they go out to this cabin, and essentially Jesse somehow ends up handcuffed to the headboard on her bed. And her husband, I don't think I'm spoiling anything here. I feel like you could read the blurb and this would have it all. Her husband ends up having a heart attack, and Jesse is stuck on this bed, handcuffed to it, handcuffed to the headboard. And so this whole story, is about Jesse being handcuffed to this headboard, to the bed, and just what she has to do to try and escape if at all possible. And that's the whole thing in this, is we see King dive into the delirium and the craziness that is, someone that's like dehydrated, hasn't had any food. They just saw someone die that they love dearly. They have past trauma that they have just kind of pushed down under the rug. They've not even under the rug. They've dug a hole, threw it in, threw dirt over it, poured concrete, built the house over. They did everything they could to try and forget and regress stuff that happened to them when they were younger. And so this whole story essentially, like I said, is about Jessie, and will she be able to get out of the situation or won't she? But also there is a mystery aspect to this of, okay, is she seeing and hearing things and imagining them, or is she actually seeing and hearing them? And so that aspect was nice. Like I said, this is one. I read this book in a few days, so I will give it that. It's a quicker read than most King books. Kind of going into the stuff that I liked. Let's do the stuff that I didn't like. Again, because I want to end off on a high note. Stuff that I didn't like. I after finishing the book and kind of marinating on it for about 24 hours, and thinking about this book, I personally could have gone without reading about Jesse's past and whatnot, and stuff that memories that she has tried to repress and whatnot. I think I'm saying the right word. English is hard, guys. I'll just edit that part out, I think, as Brian Lee Durfee would say. But again, there's just stuff I didn't want to read. I'm not gonna lie. No. And the best comparison that I had for that is it made me think of the first, when I was little. And I know it's probably gonna, people think I'm crazy. When I was in fifth grade, I remember trying to read The Lovely Bones, and there was a part in there I think was probably within the first 15, 20 pages, whatever it was. I read it and I was like, nope, I'm not going to read this. This is not, no, I don't care to read this. I don't. And that's kind of what this was like. And again, this is not a knock on Stephen King's writing, his storytelling, anything like that. It's just not something that I wanted to read about. I see how it, came to be important later on in the book and whatnot. So I won't take that away. Again, it's just not something that I wanted to read. Again, and I'm not trying to go into anything or spoil anything as far as that goes. The next thing that I could have gone, without in this book personally, I feel like the last 30 pages probably could have been omitted, in my opinion. Again, I'm not a writer, though. That's just my personal opinion. I'm just a guy with a camera that reads and talks to the camera and hopes that somebody will listen to me babble on. You know, aside from those things, again, not for me. This book was not for me. Some stuff that I did like, though, I'm not gonna lie. There's a reference in here. There's a Steve Miller Band reference, which I really liked. To one of his songs, as well as there's a part in here that it talks about somebody that the way that King writes it and stuff that happened made me think of Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So I really enjoyed that. That was probably my favorite part of the whole book. Past that, my other favorite part, and I don't think it was a favorite part, I think it was a good part. King, the way that he describes something in this for an attempted escape, very, very gruesome, very made me uneasy reading it and whatnot. And I will give King this. And I think this is probably the best part of this book overall, is the fact that the uneasiness while reading this book, and again, I will not take that away from King. I felt uneasy reading this book. I didn't want to read what I was reading, but it's King book. I'm going to try and read them all. Just the unease that King makes you feel of, okay, this is realistic. This happens. This will in the future to people. Again, just unease of that, and then the description of an attempted escape, again, very, very unsettling, very uneasy trying to read it and whatnot. I wouldn't recommend trying to eat food or anything like that before reading that, or while, or maybe a little bit after. It was kind of like hostile, I guess is the best way to put it. But again, guys, like I said, just kind of wanted to get on here. Again, not that super long of a book review. But again, I just wanted to talk about this. I don't want to bash it or anything like that. Sorry, guys, my side of my nose is itching. But I wanted to get on here and just kind of get this out there and talk with you guys about this and let you know, hey, not for me, but you know what? I always recommend give it a shot. Something like this, I definitely recommend you be older when you read this. I don't recommend a kid read this by any means. But again, that's just my 2 cents. But again, guys, Gerald's Game by Stephen King. Give it a shot. Decide for yourself. Let me know if you've read it, if you liked it. Let me know if you're going to give it a shot. Like I said, I think everybody should, listen to what we say here on YouTube, but give it a shot for yourself. See if you like it. I didn't, but you may enjoy this immensely. And you know what? I wish that this was book. I wish I enjoyed all King's books immensely. But you know what? Statistically and realistically speaking, that's unlikely. But you know what? Hey, not everybody writes a book that's a grand slam for everybody. And again, English is getting hard for me, so I'm going to end the video here. As always, guys, I hope you have a good one, and I will see you guys next time.